Hey guys, it's that Dividend guy coming at you with another Robinhood portfolio update. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully everybody's having a GGD, a great green day in the market. You know I always wish the best for my viewers and subscribers. So for today, we're going to go over the overall portfolio value, the value by metrics, of course, the buying power, the individual stocks and how they're performing, what I plan on buying as of right now, my overall goal is for the portfolio for 2025, as well as our watch list and what prices I'd buy these stocks at. So jumping in for today, we are up $439 today. After hours, we are up $47 with around a 1% gain today. That 1 week mark, we are up $2,900, 6% return. 1 month mark, we're up $2,200, a 4.5% return. That 3 month mark, we're up $1,900, 3.84% return. Year to date, we're not going to touch because we've only we're just in the end of January. So year to date, we're going to skip over. But that 1 year mark, we're up $11,434, 28% return. Then all time, since I believe it's been April. Yep, April of 2018, we are up $26,072.96, a 101.73% return all time. Buying power sitting at 3611. Then jumping into the individual holdings, starting off with my favorite REIT, Realty Income, ticker symbol O at 5319. We have 5 shares, $265.95 of market value. Average cost is $51.75, so up a little bit here. 0.5% of the portfolio is in Realty Income. That will be going up. It used to be around 20% of the portfolio, but I did sell out of it to pay off my debt. But now I'm buying back into it. I want the monthly income. I love the company, and I just cannot wait for the dividend income to match what it was before. Today, we're up $3.60. Total, we're up $7.20 with around a 3% return here on Realty Income. Guys, I want to build this up to at least 170, if not 200 shares. So I'm going to get it just where it was or a little bit higher. I did like the position size. Again, I sold it off just because it was a good... I think overall that was the best financial thing that I could do for myself, pay off all of my debt and buy it back at a cheaper price. Plus, I sold it at a loss, so I should do some get some tax loss harvesting there, and lower my overall taxable income. So it was a good move on both fronts. My taxable income goes down as well as my debt is paid off. And now I'm just going to keep buying it until I hit that 200 share mark. I already have 5 shares, and that was just with dividends as well from last month, from this month, and what was left over from last month. Then we've got Altria at $51.40, 320 shares, $16,448 of market value. Average cost is $47.27. Around 32% of the portfolio is in Altria. Today we're up $176. Total, we're up $1,300 with an 8.74% return for as long as we've held the stock. So guys, the total return is doing really well. Overall, I don't expect a big jump from Altria or big tobacco in general. I think what is happening is the market is finally realizing like, hey, Altria has pretty sustainable cash flows. They grow their dividend over time. They reward shareholders, and Juul is in the rear view. I think that's really what the market is seeing now, is that they don't have that huge lag on their profitability. They wrote it all off. They're in the clear. They're no longer having that, bring them down as a company. So now I think people are seeing it for what it is. It's a great dividend payer. It's consistent, and it's been in business and growing through price increases. I know overall smokers are going down, like the percentage of smokers is going down, but the price goes up. So even though they're losing smokers, they're still gaining around the same amount, if not a little bit more profitability, which is, it's a good business model, right? And I smoked for a couple years, so I want some money back. It just paid me $326, and it bought me a share of Apple, and it also helped me pay for those 5 shares of Realty Income that we saw before. So it does its job really well. As long as Apple stays below $300 a share, I will be using Altria to buy a share of Apple every single quarter that it pays. Next up, we've got Coca-Cola, 6204, 15 shares, $930 of market value. Average cost is $60.54. 1.8% of the portfolio is in Coca-Cola. Today, we're up $5.85. Total, we're up $22 with a 2.5% return. Guys, this is going to be one of the 5 pillars of the portfolio. Those being Apple, Visa, Coca-Cola, Google, and Berkshire. So this is my favorite consumer staple company. I drink at least 1 Coca-Cola a day. So I love Coca-Cola. It's my favorite drink in the world. So this is going to be one of those. It's a guilty pleasure. I get that the stock does not jump. It's not a high-tech stock. It's not Apple. It's not Tesla. It's not Google. It's not Nvidia. But I don't think Coca-Cola is going anywhere. And even though the profit might not jump as much anymore, it's a slow mover, I still think it holds a really sincere place in my heart. And overall, it's a company that I want to own long term, even if it isn't, smashing, outperforming the S&P 500. Even if it's a slower grower, totally fine by me. I am excited to own it, and I want it to be one of the pillars in the portfolio. Then we got Apple, $233.93 of market value today. This is going to be the single biggest position. Give it time. We have 10 shares, $2,300 of market value. Average cost is $218.89. 4.5% of the portfolio is in Apple. Today we're down $470. Total we're still up $150 with a near 7% return. Guys, this is one of those that I'm just gonna keep on adding. I would not mind if this was like 15 to 25, probably about 25%. A fourth of the portfolio, to be completely honest with you. I love Apple. I love the ecosystem. I love how hooked people are on their phones. Overall, I don't think any other company has that level of ecosystem that Apple has. And that's really what I'm buying it for, is because it's so flawlessly knit together that I don't think anything can penetrate that moat. That's really what it is for me, is it's just how consistent people use their products. And even if they don't have like a huge breakthrough product like the iPod or an iPhone or anything like that, I still feel like people, even if they don't sell more iPhones every single year, that's what people are always worried about. This services segment is really where I'm focused as an investor, and that has grown considerably over the past 3 to 5 years. That is one of the highest, I think it's actually the highest growing segment within Apple. So even if some parts of their business are slowing, I don't think that's a bad thing for the overall business. I feel like they will have more products that people will buy. They will add more services, even if they're not always, knock out of the park, like Apple streaming service, right? It has a couple good shows, but I personally don't use it. But, I know a lot of people use like iTunes, like Apple Music now. There's a lot of synergy within the company. And I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And I want a piece of it, right? I love Steve Jobs. I've read the Steve Jobs biography. The Ashton Kutcher movie is flawless. I love that movie. But it's just, it has a culture that I want to be a part of, right? I want to be a shareholder, and I'm excited to see what they do in the future. So Apple will be the single biggest position, and I'm so excited to just keep buying more shares. Next up, we got AbbVie sitting at $175.55, 95 shares, $16,600 worth of market value. Average cost is right around $95 per share. 32% of the portfolio is in AbbVie. Today we're up we're down $113. Total we're up $7,600 with an 84% return. Guys, I love AbbVie. It's been a great grower for me with price appreciation. The dividend's been growing at a consistent rate, and I just plan on owning it for the long term. The only reason that I would think of selling AbbVie is if they cut the dividend and I found something that I thought would grow it, one, faster, or two, more consistently. And as of right now, I can't find anything that pays this set of months that pays as good of a dividend as I have on AbbVie. Now, I could probably find something that pays a better dividend than what it is at the current price, but my current price is at 95, and at this level, I don't want to pay on those capital gains. I'd rather just let it keep growing dividend-wise. But as of right now, I'm not purchasing any more simply because the stock has risen so much from my average cost. Then we've got Visa, $310. One share, of course, market value is what the stock price ended up at today. Average cost is around $270. 0.6% of the portfolio is in Visa. Today we're up $3. Total we're up $41 with a 15% return. Guys, Visa is going to be one of the pillar stocks, number 2, right behind Apple. And honestly, I would not be surprised or mad if it got overtaken by Visa and being that top spot. So overall, I think Visa is one of the best businesses in the entire world, and I want that to be reflected in my portfolio. I use it every single day. I use it to pay my bills. I swipe my card for groceries, etc. That's how I pay for things, is my Visa card. So Every time I swipe it, technically I'm in a way paying myself because I have to use, like, Visa is the payment network that I use to process all my payments. So anytime I swipe, Visa's getting a portion of that through a pretty much a transaction fee, and it's feeding it back into itself. So the more shares of Visa I own, the more I pay myself when I pay for everything in my life. That's the way I'm looking at it. Same with Coca-Cola too, and Apple. So if I use it, then I'm probably going to own it, especially if it's such a big part of my life. So Visa definitely is going to be that number 2 stock. Then we've got Walgreens sitting at $12.25. We have 1,200 shares, $14,700 of market value. Average cost is $9.73. 28.5% of the portfolio is in Walgreens. Today we're at $420, 3% return. Total, we're up over $3,000 with a near 26% return. Guys, I owned Walgreens at like 48. So, and I know that they cut the dividend, but the reason that I am excited about it now is because I feel like it's been so beaten down that the market's wrong. And honestly, with the last earnings being 51 cents per share, they have a lot of leeway. They have a lot of free cash now. Instead of paying 48.5 cents before, they would have only, like, if they would have kept the dividend where it was at, they would have only had 2 cents per share, which is probably millions of dollars for them. But they would have had less free cash to invest back into the business. Now that they've cut the dividend, they have a lot more free cash. I know that the new CEO has been moving the business into a different focus. They're mainly focused on their pharmacy and their branding and pharmacy versus like this full healthcare thing that they were trying to do with their old CEO. I know the stock price dropped. It was like I said, it was almost $50 a share, but at $9 a share, the 52-week high is 25. So if it goes up to $25 per share, I'm going to have like a $30,000 position in Walgreens simply from appreciation. If it doesn't, I get paid $300 while I wait. Like, by far, I think this could be the biggest, either the biggest flop or the biggest success in the portfolio. AbbVie's done really well for me, but a 50% return with 1,200 shares outpaces an 80 to 100% return on 95 shares. So already, I bought it last week. I made the switch from T Rowe to Walgreens. And keep in mind, I'm not a short-term trader, right? Like, I knew they had earnings coming up, but I bought it because I liked the changes the CEO had been making, and I noticed that they've been more profitable. So I bought it, and profits don't lie, guys. If they keep up their profitability and keep moving that EPS, that earnings per share, and keep making more money and investing in the business more intelligently, the stock price will keep going up. And I mean, they've had a major setback. They had a CEO switch. They had a complete company, redirection. So I understand why the stock tumbled when it did. And I understood the dividend cut. So I understand that even though shareholders might be ticked off about a dividend cut, I think it was what was best for the business because that dividend was not sustainable with the current profitability of the company. They were pretty much underwater on the dividend. So the cut made sense. And now that I feel like they're, restructured, if it pans out how I think it's going to, which I could, again, like I said, it could flop. I could lose some money on it. That's fine. But I would much rather be in Walgreens at 1,200 shares at $9 a share, getting $300 a quarter versus 100 shares of T Rowe Price, waiting for it to go to like 200 and double because it's a $20,000 win versus a $30,000 win. And just as important, it was $125 a quarter with T Rowe versus $300. So when you compare them side by side, the dividend is higher with Walgreens, but I feel like the company's in a worse spot. But the amount of return that I could get out of Walgreens beats out T Rowe Price. And guys, to be completely honest with you, let's say, just hypothetically, right? Walgreens doubles from here. Say it goes to $25 a share. That'd be a 29 to almost $30,000 position. If that happens, I'm selling out of Walgreens and I'm putting it right back into T Rowe Price because I like T Rowe more as a business. This was more of a strategic move to get a better return and a bigger dividend while I wait. So let's say like Walgreens goes to 25. I'm going to sell it and I'm going to put it right back into T. Rowe Price. Because overall, quality-wise, I like T. Rowe Price better than Walgreens, but I feel like right now, Walgreens is a way better deal than T. Rowe. So, overall, guys, I'm excited about the portfolio. I want to see how well Walgreens does. And I have no issue with holding Walgreens for the long term. I'm not saying that it's going to like double in a week. I don't mind waiting for the story to play out like I have with AbbVie. And I understand that it could easily go the other way, and I'm totally fine with that too. I don't mind if I get burned a little bit as long as the dividend stays. So if I lose money overall with the stock appreciation, I'll just keep using that dividend to buy some more, Realty Income or Coca-Cola or even, Apple if it stays under $300. So overall, guys, I do like T. Rowe Price. Nothing against that business. I just think the overall return of Walgreens is going to be better. The dividend was more. And I think with the dividend and possible appreciation, it will be overall a better stock to own for the mid to long term until it comes to fruition. And I'll switch it right back to T. Rowe Price. Then with the watch list, we've got Google. I'll take this like now. My original price was like 165 to like 167. So, I mean, I'd want it around 170. That's my intrinsic value is right around like 170 to 180-ish. So it's a little bit above where I'd want it to be. But the PE ratio is 25. So it's not terribly overpriced at this point. So I'd still buy a share if I'm not too hung up on my old average cost. I think it's still a decent buy here. Honestly, I love this company for mostly the same reason that I love Apple. I love how synergized it is. I love Google search. I love YouTube. I feel like YouTube has been a very good investment for Alphabet, and I don't think it's done growing. I think their big competitive advantage is they pretty much own the ads market aside from Facebook. That's their big competitor when it comes to like online advertising. So Google Ads is amazing. Google AdSense, and then on top of that, they own search, which is what helps the ads. They own they own YouTube, and that has its own ad platform as well. That's kind of baked into the Google Ads. And I think the really big moat that Google has is the fact that they own YouTube because they don't have to make video content themselves. Their users do it. It's the same thing as Facebook, right? But the big difference between YouTube and Facebook is people use Facebook to connect and share like funny memes. I like video more than I like social media. Like YouTube is technically a social media in a way app, or like that's kind of how it's used, but I prefer video content over status updates, right? So, and I think Facebook's an amazing company too. I love Meta, but I like Alphabet or Google more because of the YouTube side of things. If I could pick like something for Google to spin out of Alphabet, it'd be YouTube, and I would put a crap ton of money into just YouTube.com or the YouTube however that was rebranded or however that ended up being its own separate entity. I would 100% on YouTube. So, and then with that, of course, guys, we got Berkshire Hathaway. I'd want to buy it around $400, so I'm still waiting for it to drop a bit. Guys, the insurance premiums that they rake in through Geico, National Indemnity, and they have so many. I want that insurance float. And the big thing, I think the moat that Berkshire has that the other insurance companies do not have, and it's super important. It's like the big, like, no duh, like aha thing is with Chubb or Allstate or Travelers, their underwriting is the most important thing because that's how they make their money. They have to do good underwriting and good investments to make money. If their underwriting is subpar, they have to bet on their investments to make them profitable. But the big difference with them and Berkshire, between an individual insurance company and Berkshire Hathaway, is they have the premiums. They have a great history of underwriting, which would just be, I mean, you could copy and paste that for, say, like Allstate, Chubb, Travelers, whoever, Aflac. But Berkshire owns its own businesses that then feed into the insurance premiums as well. So it's just a bunch of cash that they have to invest for free. So the businesses that they own outright and their stock portfolio, because they're a holding company, Stocks like, Apple, Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Coca-Cola, American Express. They own a bunch of different. They own like Visa, Mastercard, etc. They own like 40, I think it's like 40 or 50 individual companies, as well as stocks, excuse me, plus like 100 different companies. They own a lot of individual companies. Think like Duracell. Um, they own Gillette. They've owned like Dairy Queen. Um, they own so much. It's really hard. They own a lot, right? That's the difference, is they have parts of businesses and stocks in the stock market, as well as individual companies that they own outright, like See's Candy. Um, that's what sets them apart. That's what makes me want to buy them, is they're not hung up on just their underwriting and investments. They've got fully owned businesses. They've got underwriting. They can invest money with the float from those premiums, as well as stocks that they own. So I think they're a better built insurance company, and that's why I want to own them. They're sleep well at night, easy company. You have Greg Abel and Ajit at the helm, which are hand-picked successors of Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. They've got a great culture, and they let managers run their businesses how they want. And I feel like that leads to more profitability and overall a better business, and really a much healthier culture inside of Berkshire Hathaway. So that's really their moat. That's their competitive advantage, is they have multiple streams of income, and they just let they let the people that know how to run the business run it. They don't tamper with good businesses. And I think that's what really sets them apart. And so, guys, I would want to buy Berkshire around $400 a share. So with all that being said, guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching my channel, That Dividend Guy. Remember to hit the like button on this video. And if you didn't like it, tell me why you didn't like it. And I will see you guys tomorrow with another Robinhood portfolio update. Take care, guys.